Hey, everybody, we're back here with another episode of the Utah High School Hoops podcast. And today I'm going to be joined by Tim Davis, and we are going to be talking about the event, the great event in the West. It's going to be a classic. And so it's called the Great Western Classic because of those reasons, I'm pretty sure. Maybe there's another reason why it's called that. I'm not exactly 100% positive, but let's get here to this interview with Tim Davis. This is the Utah High School Hoops podcast, your source for sometimes informative, but always entertaining coverage of the Utah High School Hoops scene. With your host, Adam Beek. Hey, what's going on, Tim?
Hey, how are you, man?
Thanks ready for round two?
Show. Oh, round two, and we both look better. It's been a couple months, but we both look better than ever.
I don't know. I mean, before the show, we were both talking about our schedules leading up to this, and it's okay. I'm bringing some energy here, some caffeinated energy with my coffee. So I'm going to give my best, and I know that you always bring it. And you always give your best. So, Tim, there's a ton going on right now in Utah. Right? It seems like the basketball activity doesn't really ever slow down a lot. There's a little bit of a lull, but it feels like basketball season is upon us. I mean, October to me is like the kickoff of basketball season.
Yep.
And it really feels like it's a great opportunity to kick it off. So you have this event, the Great Western Classic. Correct me if I'm wrong. It happens in June and October, or is it just like the spring and the fall?
Yeah, so I do. Just the fall event was the initial event, and we did it because a bunch of the high school coaches in the state didn't want to travel to have to go play teams at this time. And I was like, hey, I can bring some out of town teams, no problem. That's sort of what the world I live in. And then a lot of them got sick of going to some of these team camps just because of the structure and how many you're playing 12 games in 4 days, and so then we did a summer event, and we'll get 70 varsity. Probably this one will have 65 or so teams, and the summer will have 83 to 85 varsity teams, and then JV stuff like that. But that's sort of how the event started. And you mentioned the name at the beginning of the show, Great Western Classic. One's the fall, one's the summer. Pretty simple. So when I was coming up with the name, I was like, oh, what should I do? And then I walked outside. I was at a high school, and I walked outside after the event, and there was a semi truck. It was like a landscape company called Great Western, and that was like one of the names. So that I wanted initially, and I saw it, and I was like, that's it. It was like Great Western Landscape. I was like, Great Western Classic. Here we go. That's it.
Does Great Western Landscape know? Maybe they need to get a banner or something like that. You just throw them a little bit of a bone here, just like
they have semis, and I live by Timpview High School, and they're doing like all the landscaping over there. So like a week and a half ago, I drove by and I saw it, and I took a picture of it, and I was like, I should just have them drop one of those semis off at my main site at Juan Diego,
Yeah, exactly. Come on. These guys got to get on this. All right. Well, that's it's a funny story. So this year, it seems like when I'm looking at some of the top end teams, and you have kids from what, 4th grade? Is that what I saw all the way up?
Yeah, 4th grade boys, and then like 6th or 7th grade girls. But like that wasn't the initial plan. And I had a bunch of youth people reach out after we started going into it about year 2. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then it just sort of made sense. If we're doing it, we're doing it. So you go 4th grade to varsity on the boys, and then on the girls at 6th grade to varsity.
Got it. And I mean, we don't have to get into this, but I saw a stat that, girls basketball is obviously growing like crazy. But it was pretty close on ESPN viewers between the WNBA and NBA this past year. So it's been cool to see the girls side start to gain, a lot more traction, not just in skill. That's been happening for a while, but now people are starting to pay attention. So it's cool that you're expanding that, continuing to grow that as well here.
Yeah, I think the cool thing with the girls too, especially on the WNBA, it's like the off season. There's not like a ton. I guess football's starting, but there's not a ton unless you're a baseball fan, but no one is. Just kidding. There's not a ton of stuff to watch, right? And I'm not saying people don't want to watch girls basketball, because I disagree, but like like it's a great time for them to have a league because there's not a million pro sports things going on as well. And I like that it's shorter because it's like 40 games. This
Mhm.
tells you that I'm like a hoops junkie. Like, and this is really bad that I'm telling you. I know it's 40 games and it's less, and the playoffs are shorter. And I think because the NBA is awesome, it's such a great entertainment business. But I also think what's cool about it that I like is like hey, like they actually seem like they care, right? About
Mhm.
every game. Like every game they seem like they care. You're not going to a game being like pissed off, like, man, like they weren't playing hard today. All they did was just, and that's how you feel. I feel that way sometimes with the NBA. Even when I go, I'm like, did I waste my money going tonight because they just
Yeah.
didn't play hard. But
And
anyway, that's
that's what made, like, going to watch Kobe and Michael, I think, so special is because if they were not injured or hurt, you knew that they were gonna bring it. Like, if you paid to go watch them play, they were gonna give it all, that and to your point, 82 games and the sheer
well,
volume of money that's being made right now by NBA players, which is fantastic. It's like, I get why they are trying to prolong their careers and why they're taking care of their bodies and why, maybe they're not going to play on the second half of back to back or the fourth game in 5 nights, which I think they got rid of that one. But it's like, it all makes sense. But also, if I'm going to drop $100 on a ticket and then you find out right before that it's like load management and, your favorite player is not playing, that sucks. And that does not happen in the WNBA.
yeah, you're right. No, I agree with that. Sorry, I
That's
went off
cool.
on that tangent,
No, no,
but
no. That's this should be called the Great Western Tangent
I
podcast because
like
I
it.
do I do a fair amount of tangenting. All right, so we got this. It's October 3rd through the 5th. You mentioned Juan Diego. It's at various. I'm guessing not every game is at Juan Diego. That would be insane.
No, I mean you're talking over time just because the fall is hard with other sports going on to get a compact amount of gyms. Varsity will be at Juan Diego and Corner, a little mix of both Corner Canyon High School. The other challenge with the other gyms is it's just like can't get it till 6 o'clock on Thursday, Friday, and then Saturdays are pretty open. So we're at 21 courts total throughout the week, not all on the same day, but total throughout the week. So
Got it. Well, let's talk then about some of the either like, the big matchups or some of the teams that are coming in. So you mentioned that sort of the genesis was, hey, I think I can get some teams from out of state to come here. Um, and this year seems like a pretty good cast of people. So if you're wanting to go out and watch like Division 1, professional, or at least their careers are tracking towards like a professional basketball player. We got some guys coming in for the Great Western Classic. So you want to talk about some of those out of state teams that are coming in?
yeah, let me just look. So I'm looking at this wall. So if I look over here, it's where all I'll sort of see it's the craziness and chaos, and that's
It's
where I
like
do.
it's almost like remember the movie Minority Report with
Yes,
Tom Cruise
Tom
when he's just
Cruise,
like moving stuff around and he's uh, kids, go check it out. It was a futuristic movie that's probably not very futuristic anymore.
great movie though. But that's how I mean, I'm not as smart as Tom, but that's how I feel. Um,
No, Tom's not
I
as
mean,
smart as you.
no, I mean, we have the Yeah, I wish we have the contingency of Utah high schools. I mean, there's always the powerhouses. I think the returning state champs. You have Judge. You have Corner Canyon, who's always up there at 6A. Judge won, I believe, 3A last year. Orem and Timpview are sort of a couple of the favorites in 5A. And I'm gonna miss schools. AF's always done a good job. Harriman, they lost in the semifinals to the 6A state champs. Lehigh, they'll be here. Lehigh will be here. And they all have good players. And there's a couple little all-star teams because their schools aren't competing in it just because this or that. Tim Drisdom's coaching a team called Mixed Bag in it. And so it's just kids from different high schools. And I
Didn't our friend AJ up at Utah Ballers, he threw together a team too.
said that I'm looking at it, but he actually changed the name before we did it. And then, there's a team out of Davis County playing in it too, a little all-star group. But you have Lone Peak, and we have some schools from St. George, Dixie, Desert Hills, Hurricane. I mean, we have 35 varsity teams in Utah coming, and I miss some. There's Layton, there's Pleasant Grove, and so I'll miss some of these schools. I just know Layton Christian is always really good, and Wasatch, of course. Wasatch Academy is coming, and so pardon me if anybody listens to this. I missed your high school
Did I
because I
did I see if Did I see that Utah Prep, were they bringing some teams or no? I thought I
Yeah,
saw it on.
they're bringing their regular high school team. Their other team, they're playing an event on the 2nd and 3rd, the morning of it, because they have 3 of their best players have official visits.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't even have been able to play with the full roster in my event. But it's Utah Prep's high school team, and then a prep team, and then their gold team, which is just a regular high school team. So not like their national traveling team.
Yep.
You know. And so that's in it. And then we have Skyline Prep, who I actually think is like an up and coming group. They're down there in Arizona, one of the prep schools. They have Josh Powell, who's a top 50 kid in America playing for them. And they have another 4-star kid and then a couple 3-star kids. They're actually, I think, on the prep scene, they're really up and coming. We have, let's see.
Is Skyline, are they playing in the grind session? I feel like that.
I don't, you know what? They might be this year. They weren't last year. But they're actually going to be phenomenal. Like, I actually think they're going to be really good. We have a couple all-star teams from Idaho, because Idaho, you officially can't in the fall because of how their state rules. You can't coach your high school team in events. You can only coach 2 kids at a time. That's just how the rule works. And so, like, a lot of them will play together. So there's a couple teams from Idaho Premier coming, a couple groups from Colorado, Graves Peak and Rocky Mountain Academy, Golden State Prep, which is the prep program for Prolific Prep.
Oh, sweet.
So they're going to be they're actually, both rosters, there's 2 groups actually, and they have 6 Division I guys on both their rosters. So they're very good. And then Dream City Christian, who has Ikeno Olazi and Taco. And they have a new kid coming, Atuka, who just got here from Georgia, who a lot of people think is a top 20 player in America. He's a little bit of like, take this for what it is, a Crispus Porzingis type kid. And then they have Jalen Holland. So that's a good group. And then I'm just going.
And some of those guys, some of those guys played for you with the Prospects, if I recall.
Yeah,
right?
3 of them did. 2 of them were with Dream City last year, came to the event, and then Jalen, he was close with a couple of them and went from his regular high school, New Mexico, to Dream City. So he's with them now. And then Veritas Academy, who everybody knows, they're in the NIBC, the UIBL Scholastic League. Very good. George does a phenomenal job with. I really think they're one of the best coach prep team. They do a good job when it comes to coaching their guys. Like, they're really tough. They're really physical. Like, they really battle. And then we have, let's see how many Canadian teams. Hold on. 6 Canadian groups. Code Academy Nationals coming. They're a good group. North Star Prep, CTA West, Red and White. So they have 24 kids coming down. There's 2 rosters there. And then Prolific Sports Academy is bringing a couple teams. So it's I think
crazy.
We have 22 non-Utah teams coming, and then 35 or so. It's more than that. It's because it's like 65 teams. I'm bad with math, but 65 varsity teams, and then even on the youth side, we have teams coming from different states on the boys and the girls. And the girls have some groups. Meta Hoop out of Idaho, AIM out of Idaho. I'm trying to give the girls a little bit of love here.
That Meta Hoop program out of Idaho is really good. They're really good.
Well,
on both the girls and guys side, but the girls side is they've got a really great program.
No, they do a good job. So we have good. Some other girls programs, Lady Prospects are coming, which aren't tied to my program, but I know those guys that run it do a good job. Mountain West Premier, which Erin Thorne runs it, she does a good job. So it's growing. Even on the girls side, I feel like it's growing. There's not as many because there's volleyball right now, so it makes it a little bit harder on the girls side because and women's soccer because there's a lot to do. One of the two, but it's getting there, and coaches are trying to do as much as they can, and I'm also like, we play 4 games at it. I'm like, don't overdo this thing, in the fall. Like, pick your battles when it comes to games. But we feel like we're a pretty good battle to pick because we try to make sure you're playing teams you don't play.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, there's not like a limit. So let's say you're a sophomore in high school and you want to play on the JV. If your school is a JV team and a varsity team, right? Like they could play in multiple games if they wanted to, if I recall. That's not like
correct. And I can't limit that because it's preseason. It's not a part of anything official. Like, I think that's more coaches need to monitor that at the end of the day because you don't want to overload a kid.
No.
But they also, if they're not doing anything right now. But
sorry, your phone. I think you're recording on your phone. Did you get a call or something?
Yeah, I got it off. Is it better?
Yeah, it's better. I'm assuming it was Woj calling.
No, it's actually a Stanford coach.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for hanging up on the Stanford coach. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's very important.
He won't hear from me until later today. I mean, it's just I got to get this schedule. It's probably more important. And I like him, but not like that.
Not like that. Well, okay, so we got a lot of really great schools coming from, or programs coming from out of state. You mentioned some of the players. Let's wrap it up here with: are there, as the schedule is done, right? And I think you can go, or maybe it's not fully finished, but you can at least go see it on.
It's done when it comes to the varsity boys stuff and sophomore JV. It's done.
Got it. So, I'll put a link down there where if you want to go, just click it and you can download the Exposure app and you can see the Great Western Classic schedule. But just real quick, are there any matchups where you said it and you're like, I cannot wait to see, I don't know, I'll make it up, like Orem play Dream City. I don't even know if that's a game.
Yeah,
but
that's a game,
Is that a game? All right. Would that be a game that you're like, I'm excited to see what our local teams, and they tend to do pretty well, especially I know Orem when we went down to Section 7 beat a bunch of people.
I'll give you 3 games, and there's a million more
that
I'm excited to see. But I mean, I'm just going to give you 3 off the bat because I don't want to talk on this thing forever. Not your fault, but sometimes I just talk too much. So I'm excited to see Dream City versus Orem. I'm really excited about that because Orem's got a lot of D1 kids, and Dream City's returning a lot of guys. And
when is that game, by the way?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Oh no. Okay, I just thought if it was on your board, then that's fine.
I don't put the exact times on the board because I put it on the online on the computer. But and then I'm excited for a Veritas American Fork. It's just both teams very physical teams, and they both value defense. And then I'd probably say Corner Canyon Skyline Prep is what I'm excited about. And then I'll give you one more because there's a team called the Gremlins. It's actually Timpview High School. Like their whole varsity team's in it. But coach was gone, so just this is how we decided to do it. And they play Golden State Prep, so I'm pretty excited to see that group. So those are just 4. There's a million other games. Like there's just matchups with Canadian teams against even like Dixie High that I'm excited to see and stuff like that because of how Dixie plays. But so
it'll be a great test, and I think as long as teams can get in, stay injury free, work on some stuff, there's going to be a team who's just like, man, I can't believe that they beat so and so by 30 at the Great Western Classic. It's like, well, come January, the outcome might be different. So because there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then. So
you don't win state championships at the Great Western Classic. You just go get better. The whole thing is get better.
Yep, get better. Don't play hard, get better, and have some fun, right?
For sure.
Well, Tim, hey, I appreciate it. I forgot to tell you when I hit in recording, don't hang up right away because it's got to do a little bit of upload there. It won't take very long, but I know you got a busy schedule. You got a million things to get done. So I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to talk about the event. And October 3rd through the 5th, if you get a chance, go out, check it out. There's a lot of really cool games happening all across the this great Salt Lake Valley. And thanks again for coming on. Appreciate you.
Adam, thanks for having me. I love the NBA Jam arcade in the background.
It also has my hang on. That's my high school letter jacket hanging up there on it as well from 1999. Lewis Palmer High School. Go Rangers.
I thought I was gonna say a little older than that the jacket was, but I just was maybe wrong. Just kidding.
No, yeah, it's got.
That's awesome.
It's from good old Lewis Palmer, home of Pat Garrity.
Awesome. I love it.
All right.
Oh, that is wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, we went to the same high school, grew up on the same street, as a matter of fact. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks so much, man.